You are now locked in to the Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Sitting Down with the Sisters. We're your hosts. I'm Ashley.
I'm Ayo.
And I'm Temi.
And yeah, this is the second episode of season 7.
Wow.
You know, every time I keep...
Oh.
You even did 8.
That's 7.
Oh, I thought you was doing this.
You made
it
me
looked
question.
like your thumb was up.
You made me question. You forgot that I went to school?
No, I know you went to school. We have a school,
We
so
have
I know
a
you went to
school,
school.
exactly.
Gosh.
Anyway,
What do you mean, oh my gosh?
Tell me, the more you keep denying it, it's not good for you.
It's because she didn't get a certificate, that's why.
To another episode of the Sitting Down with the Sisters
podcast.
You've probably seen it in the title, but today's one, do you know what? The hope is, the aim is not to rattle anyone.
No,
We'll
but
just put that out there. But again, you know, we're going to have discussions. We're going to share opinions. Our opinions are not facts.
Exactly.
They're not
That's a great
facts.
PSA. Wow, Temi, you're doing the PSA today. I'm so proud.
For everybody on the TikTok.
Have you noticed I haven't done a PSA, but she did it.
I know.
I wasn't even
powerful.
trying to do a PSA. I was just trying to tell
That's how
people,
powerful it is. She didn't know
because
she
you
was
know
doing a
we have
PSA.
some people want to attack and be.
Yeah.
You know, my favorite thing is saying keyboard warriors. They want to be keyboard warriors, and you don't need to do that. Just listen. If you don't agree, in fact, if you don't agree, we want you to share your comments in the comment section.
And if you're not going to be nice, just come off the video. It's all right.
And if it doesn't pertain to you, don't put a shoe that doesn't fit you.
Yeah,
because you'll have a blister.
Do you know what? I'm so open to hearing lots of different perspectives on topics anyway.
Yes,
So
we always
guys,
want to hear
please don't
even if
be
you don't agree with us. I don't know why in this society and in this generation to disagree with someone means you have to be disrespectful.
It always
It's
results in
Or you
fighting,
can't disagree with
fighting, arguing. It doesn't need to be that.
Take it easy.
I'm willing to listen. You know,
Be good.
we can both have
Girls
our
and
different
boys.
perspective and still exist.
Be a good kid.
Be a good kid, okay, for the king.
But yeah,
Anyways, let me just to give some background into what we're going to talk about.
Sorry, can I just say quickly?
Yeah.
This topic, you know what? We know this. We were going to do this topic, but I want you to. Can you elaborate a little bit more on why?
Yeah.
And just the topic itself.
Yeah,
so
I
we
will
get an insight.
Yeah. So the thing is, everybody that knows me knows I'm quite an introspective or like an analytical person. So I can hear a phrase, and I'll be hearing it and I'll be thinking, but what does that even mean? What does that mean? Like we're telling everybody these things. What does it mean? So I think I was watching a pod or something could have happened. I'm always watching something, an interview pod, a YouTube video, or I'm on social media or I just see something and I think somebody said something like, do what makes you happy. Or they either alluded to it not being good to say that all the time or something of that effect. And then I was just thinking, the phrase do what makes you happy is a scam. And not only is that one a scam, follow your heart is also a scam.
Yeah.
It's a scam. All this like just go with the flow. This one, follow your heart, do what makes you happy.
All the like
Go where your heart leads,
like,
all of these things. Yeah.
Whatever the wind takes you.
It's a
type
scam.
Of thing.
And the reason why I want to discuss it with the girls is because I was just thinking to myself, I was telling somebody at work as well, I was like, I don't know if it was at work, but I was just saying, if I truly did what made me happy, it wouldn't be good. One,
there are loads of things that make me happy that's
not good.
Me.
If I woke up, a lot of the time I wake up, I don't want to go to work. That's what would make me happy. Do you know what? It would make me happy if I laid in this bed. But if I did it.
That part.
Can I tell you what, sorry.
If I did it, I would be unemployed.
Let's talk about things that will make us happy.
Yeah.
Do you know what would actually make me happy? Yeah. Should I tell you what can actually
You tell me, darling.
Having a seafood boil every single day.
Oh, why was I going to say eating out?
Every day.
That would make me happy if I had a
on a daily
boil
Wingstop subscription
every day, every single day of this. Like not going to the gym will make me happy.
It's not her going.
That's so true, Tim.
For real.
What would make you happy, Ash?
Having days of not working, really.
Honestly, because me and Ash, I think we're similar
Flying
in the way
out
we don't
every
really want
day.
to work. Tem is the career one out of us.
Yeah.
Me, anytime I'm on holiday, I say, this is what I was created for.
Yeah. This is what God wants for me. I know that I know that I know.
But it makes me happy. Is it good? At this present
my pockets will
moment?
be empty.
But do you know what it is? The people that do say follow your heart and do what makes you happy. I thought, do you know
We
feel
all
like maybe
say
there's a
it,
bit
by
of
the
a
way.
disclaimer. There's a bit of like a little disclaimer that should come with it because of course do what makes you happy at the end of the day because life is short. But I think people, hopefully I can't say what people mean by it, but when I say it, what I do mean is do what makes you happy in moderation. You have to be smart. You have to be strategic. Don't just go with the flow of life and the flow of things. Be intentional. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be intentional. That's what I mean when I say do what makes you happy. Because like we've just given examples, just because it makes us happy doesn't mean it's good for us, and doesn't mean it's not something you can end up regretting later on.
Yes, because a lot of the time you need to remember who you're telling do what makes you happy too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
You're
say.
telling them do what makes you happy.
gosh.
What if what makes them happy is to be going back to somebody that is not beating them but hurting them, like emotionally?
It's not a healthy,
like, it's not
just
situation.
a lot of stuff that makes people happy is
Toxic,
dangerous.
abusive relationship.
Okay, if we want to be very verbatim with it, is the careless drinking, the careless intoxication of
the
drugs,
recklessness.
that's what's making people happy. If it's not, like, there's so
And
many things.
You saying that, I don't even think it makes people happy, really and truly.
It does
I feel like
momentarily,
good point.
innit?
No, it gives you a momentary escape, absolutely, but that doesn't deep down make you happy,
Make
because
people
it's
actually
only
happy.
momentarily.
Fair.
Like you just said.
Fair.
With time, if you dig deep and look within what the problem really is, drugs cannot solve your problems, and we all know that.
It's counterfeit.
You know, it's just to escape for the time being. So that doesn't even make you happy. If you really want to solve your problems, you go to the root of the issue and see how you can stop yourself from being really unhappy that you're even taking drugs in the first place.
I'm so happy you two mentioned that, like the fact that you need to actually bear in mind who you're saying it to, because as much as Temi, you're saying, you know, you actually need to be smart when you're hearing that phrase. A lot of people, when you're telling them that phrase, and then thinking, Temi said I should go and do what makes me happy. So tomorrow,
No, it's you
I'm
that
gonna
they'll
go and
reference
do.
back.
I'm gonna go do X, Y, and Z. A lot of people, when you're telling them that phrase, unfortunately, they're in spaces where they're not happy, or they're not doing a lot of things that bring them joy. And so a result of that, when they hear it, they're like, okay, let me continue in my mess. Let me continue in my recklessness. Let me continue doing whatever the hell I want,
they're not being
even
held
if it hurts
accountable.
me or it hurts the people around me.
Yeah.
As long
So
as
I
it
think-
makes me happy.
Exactly, because that's what somebody told me to do.
Or they're looking at what makes other people happy and they're going to do that too, which is also very, like, the one that is actually bizarre, because I think go with the flow was the one that was really championed. It's very championed in our society. Going with the flow, especially when it comes to relationships, romantic ones, I actually think is the biggest scam. Do what makes you happy is a scam. I've already alluded to that. I actually believe going with the flow is also a scam. I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody, and I'm not saying everybody should have my opinion, but I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody that wants an intentional, godly, God-centered relationship. Yeah, going with the flow a lot of the times will lead you to following your emotions, following things that in that moment they seem right. There are things that seem right to a man, but the end of that, I don't remember the rest of the verse. Venga, if you know it, please just, you know it. Okay, it does. But yes, there are things that seem right to a man in that moment. In the moment, there's so many things that, for instance, that's why we also have the epidemic, the pandemic, the everything of situationships. It's because people are going with the flow.
Yeah.
You go with the flow. You've never been somebody's boyfriend. You've never been somebody's girlfriend.
Whoa.
No, because that's how.
No, but
that's
you're
what
right.
happens when you go
You're
with
in
the flow.
situation because you're going with the
No
flow. It's not
intentions,
going.
vibes.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going. As you're going with the flow,
You want it to go somewhere,
you're
but in
going
that
with the flow,
in that
but
same,
it's not going
it's
anywhere.
not, because the flow is flowing where you don't know.
that's what I'm saying. So you're in that. It's what's the word? It's hypocritical because
It is.
in that same sentence you're saying let's go with the flow. In your head, you know, you, for example, you want a relationship, but then you're saying, yeah, let's go with the flow. You don't want to go with the flow.
That's why they tell you if you cannot swim. Do not.
The flow is you're in their bed every day, but that's it.
Oh,
That's the flow.
okay. Well,
There's nothing else.
Well,
And you know that's not what you want, but because you're saying,
It's
yeah,
true.
let's go with the flow, you're seeing it online,
It's true.
let's flow. What does it actually mean?
Because a lot-
no, you need to actually answer,
yes.
what does that word flow,
What does it mean?
What is the
mean?
flow?
because that's what I was
What's
about to
flow?
say. If you cannot swim, you wouldn't go and swim in open water, would you? Because
What's flow?
as you're going with the flow, it will end in death and it will end in drowning. Shotigbo. That means have you heard?
Actually, that's a good question. What is
What
the
is
flow?
the flow?
Because if you want me to go with it, at least tell me what it is.
What would
They
you
don't
guys
know.
define as flow?
I don't know. Because I don't
Honestly,
go with the
like
flow.
I said, it's to me, it's genuinely where the wind takes you.
The facts, it is where the wind takes
Do
you.
you know? Have you ever seen a wind push a human?
It's happened to
just,
me.
It can just take
Involuntarily.
You
You're
anywhere.
on your
Like
feet, you're flying.
lifted off your feet. You don't even know. You have no
You
control.
know where you're going.
You don't know where you're going, but you land somewhere.
Yes.
And that's what going with the flow is.
Yeah.
And even just going back to that statement of just do what makes you happy. First of all, the things that made you happy, like 3-5 years ago, does not make you happy today. So if you're constantly chasing after what makes you happy, your emotions are like fickle.
Yes.
What makes you happy today is not going to make you happy next week or the week after that. It's like when you have your favorite takeaway place that you loved, like I'm sure we all have one, but we no longer eat it because it doesn't really hit the way it used to. Do you get what I'm saying? It's the same way with happiness. Happiness is fleeting. Like happiness comes and goes. So if you're constantly chasing after, okay, I'm just going to do this, that makes me happy, do this, that makes me happy, you're constantly going to feel empty at the end of it, because the Bible even says the joy of the Lord is our strength. So really and truly, you shouldn't even be chasing happiness, because happiness is not something that's God given.
It's joy.
It's
and
joy.
the thing, the different people always mistake joy and happiness because they sound
They're
synonymous.
two different things.
Happiness is an emotion, just like anger, sadness.
Right.
It's a thing that comes and goes. It fleets. Joy is a heart posture.
It's a choice.
It's a mindset. It's a perspective. It's a choice, like you said. And the reason why you can't compare joy to happiness is because where happiness is not a fruit of the spirit, joy is. It's a thing that it can be there constantly. Whether you're happy or you're sad, you can be joyful. That's
it.
The same way you can be going through the toughest of times and yet you're joyful. I remember I was in sixth form and I was there was a really, really hard thing going on in my life, and school was like an escape for me. And I think if people knew, well, obviously these two knew, but if other people knew what was going on, they would be confused.
They wouldn't believe
at
it.
Sixth form, I was laughing. Like I was having a great time. And it's not the laughing, it's not the happiness, perceived happiness. It was an inner peace that was a form of joy that was able to carries you through hardships in life. That is the difference between happiness and joy.
I'm happy you mentioned that as well, because happiness and sadness cannot exist at the same time, because they're both emotions.
Yes.
You can't feel those two at the same time. But joy, regardless of whether you're going through the toughest times, regardless of whether you might not be where you want to be, you can still experience joy.
Yeah, that's so true. I don't see it that way, That is actually so interesting.
Because it's all this do what makes you happy, but it's like, how long were you happy today?
And then, no, honestly, like even what you
what a question.
Even what you were saying, because it's so fickle, because it's such it's an emotion and it's so fickle. If you do what makes you happy, how long is it even going to last for? It's literally temporary.
Even be with someone that makes you happy. I'm so sorry, if that's what you're going by, the be with someone, that relationship is only going to be one day.
Wow.
Sometimes not even one day, sometimes 12 hours. Because if we're being realistic,
that's crazy.
If we're being the children of God that we are,
the kid
of the king, people don't always make us happy. And it's not and I'm not saying it's an intentional thing. Like I don't go out of my way to make Ayo unhappy or Temi unhappy or whoever unhappy. But no one's perfect. Everyone has their seasons in life. When one season they're on it, they're constantly messaging you, they're doing this, they're doing that, and then another season they might be feeling low in themselves. They need that encouragement. They're not as consistent, right? Yeah. So does that mean this person is no longer making me happy? Let me go to the next person.
No, that's not how it
works. That's what we see in our generation. That is exactly what we see. When something stops serving you, you bounce. It's crazy because I know that it sounds almost like you're telling people to be a doormat when you're telling them not to do what serves them, because I think the advice that people are getting all the time is like, do what serves you, chase after things that are serving you. But it's like, I feel like it's a very individualistic and very prideful way to live. Because as much as, yes, you should never be in a situation that's toxic for you. And it's obviously, we know that. Yeah. I don't think that, do you know what I mean? We don't need to tell anybody that. But I think at the same time, people are never thinking about what they offer. Every time, if you're only thinking about what serves you and what's making you happy, you're never thinking about how you can make other people happy. And you're never even thinking about how you can serve other people.
And there won't be consistent relationships in your life.
You'll find
a lot of people that you've come in and out of, and
because you're constantly taking.
Because there's substance.
You become what's that word? You're only focused on yourself, like self-centered, self-centered. Like, it's crazy because I feel like people think that they're rapping, like they're spitting some fire when they say be with people. Like, are they serving? How are they serving you? I'm like,
if this no longer serves you, walk away.
And I'm like, but okay, so when that person was, what did you do? How did you serve them?
Crickets.
No, because it's sad, to say, but like there's so many people that the reason that they're in deep sadness, like deep depression, deep sadness, is because they're constantly looking at how other people have treated them and never seeing their role and
the part they've played.
Do you understand?
I understand what you're saying.
And it's not to say that people have not genuinely been like finished by other people. Like, that is very valid and is very true. But at the same time, say for instance, I constantly only looked at the bad things that had happened to me, and I only looked at people through the lens of the bad things that they do, I would never be happy.
You miss out on an opportunity to be a blessing to other people around you. And I'm so happy you said that serve word, because one thing I've learned this year, there will be seasons in your life, where you might not be all the way comfortable, you might not be all the way happy, but sometimes God, it puts you in that season to show you, okay, how are you going to serve? How are you going to serve the people around you?
How are you going to serve me?
That. And does that now mean that, oh, well, actually, because, I'm not really happy in this season, I'm going to walk away from God because, I'm not getting what I want out of him. I'm not getting what I've asked for. So, there's nothing more I can do. So I'm out.
I'm out, yeah.
There will literally be seasons where it will be question marks, but you still serve anyway.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living happy.
Yeah. Like, even in life, that's why I said, think about how many times you were happy today. How many times were you happy today? Because me, I know myself. To be fair, I'm grateful to God. I veer on the side of optimism and I veer on the side of continuously just being relatively
keep pushing through
happy. But I know that it's not consistent. It's not there. Your siblings and your home life is like the perfect example. Like they get the rawest version of you, right? If everything was do what makes you happy, the chores in the house would never be done. There's just things in your house, things would just not be operate. If your dad did what made him happy all the time, you think he'd be going to work every time to provide for the house that is over your head? Do you think that would have been the case? If your mom did what made her happy all the time, you think you'd always have food in your belly? She's tired, she wants to sleep. That's what will make her happy.
Right. To come home and to actually put her feet up, but she's cooking for you.
Do what makes you happy. You just come.
No, do what makes you happy.
So crazy.
Don't you think?
Like, when we let's just speak briefly, like just in the context, we've done it already, in context of relationships, like when as women, obviously we give each other advice and we're like, oh, do what makes you happy. What do we really mean by that?
Sometimes, do you know what that means? Sometimes that means air the guy that you shouldn't be airing, because you told him.
Or it means talk to the toxic guy that you should be airing.
Yeah.
Because he makes you happy.
Yeah.
Just because you get a bit of temporary thrill from him. It's like continue messaging.
That's a very good question. I need another example because that's a very good question.
Because he makes you happy.
What am I telling them?
What, in terms of relationship?
Like, when we say do what makes you happy.
What do we actually mean by that? Because have you not said, I've said it before.
Yeah. It's a very like common phrase that flows, it just comes out of your mouth like water. But when you think back.
Do you know what it is with me? Yeah. When I say do what makes you happy, like, if you're my very good friend and I care about you so much, you wouldn't. For me, by the time I said do what makes you happy, you would have known my thoughts on the situation, right? I would have made it very clear where I stand on the situation and the advice that I want to give to you. So if I've said do what makes you happy, I do. It's not as if I don't genuinely mean, because I want my friends to be happy. I never want my friends to be in a bad place. But when I say do what makes you happy, I do mean, like literally what we just
I feel like
to be happy.
In the long run,
I want you to be happy.
In the long run, let's think about the emotion of happiness. Yeah. Is it going to change very quickly?
Yes.
Is it going to be a drastic change? Because it can very much be. That's what we were saying about the difference between happiness and being joyful. Is it something that's going to be there like this time next year?
Even next
I feel
week.
like
even tomorrow.
In the context you're saying it, like say in a friendship, say if someone's come to you, they've given you a scenario. I can't think right now off the top of my head. They're giving you a scenario and you're thinking, this is not something you should be doing. I want better for you. And then you've given them your advice. I feel like sometimes as well, the do what makes you happy comes from a place of, I know you're not going to take
frustration.
My advice, so
do your own.
You read my mind, because that's literally
that's what it means, really, right?
That's what it's giving.
And is that kind?
It's like, I've washed my hands now. Do your own.
That's sometimes more time. A lot of the time, you're saying, mate, you see that friend that continually comes to tell you something, and you've given them the advice. You've told them multiple times, and they even know that where you stand on their issue. Well,
they know what you're going to say before they even ask you.
You only at that time you're saying do what makes you happy because you're sick and tired of them. Let's be very frank.
And it's not even from like a horrible or ill-intended place, but it's just like
it's if you don't,
you're not listening.
It's applying wisdom. Do you know what? It's literally it's applying. Let's be very, very honest. It's about applying wisdom and these things.
Because if you don't hear, you must feel.
Right. It's literally about applying wisdom. Moving forward after today's episode, even though I've always done it, I feel like I've been a woman logic. You know, I've always been logical in the things that I do and the decisions I make. Obviously, I'm still flesh at the end of the day, so I do have moments where I do what makes me happy.
We all do.
But they're all very sort of small decisions that I need to make. In terms of life lessons and life decisions, I really try to be logical with those decisions. So it's, again, it's not just about, it's being intentional in that moment you want to make your decision. Yes, it's going to make me happy now, but in the long run, is it going to be purposeful? That does it make sense for my life, for my future self? And that is, I think that's just that's the way that we should be sort of directing things in. Like, is it going to just to be, in the long run, is it going to be beneficial? Helpful? I think that's the question.
Because what I've realised as well, a lot of the ideologies and the statements and the sayings, because you know me, I love a good quote, but
she's a quote queen.
I love a quote, but you will never ever see me put a quote on my story or my social media that is rubbish, that does not make sense, because I'm mindful of the stuff that I'm reposting and I'm putting on my socials, because I've realized a lot of the ideologies and a lot of the sayings and the phrases that, you know, comes and goes and arises and it's here this year and it's not there the next year, a lot of it is not biblical. It's not actually what God says, or it's not actually God's will for our life. So it's almost like you have to ask yourself, okay, a lot of people are saying this, does this make sense for me? Going back to what you said, you have to think of how this is going to affect your life in the long term. A lot of it is, I only want to do now because, you know, I'm young, I need to live my life.
Yeah, there's that,
I need to do, and we're not saying that you shouldn't enjoy your life and you shouldn't, you know, in this period, you know, live in the moment, all of those things. But the Bible says it's wise to think of your future.
100%.
Because we're at the age where the decisions we make today, it's going to affect us a couple of years from now.
That's literally what it's going to be.
And it's like people,
no pressure.
People make you feel like you're doing too much by thinking about your future.
Yeah.
You're like, no, but just have fun as you're entering the gutter with them. Because people act like addictions and random stuff that make sure a life end in
just
turmoil.
do the ketamine.
They
just do it.
They act like that's
not the ketamine.
They act like you were an addict from day one.
Yeah.
No, it starts with one decision. So it's not to say like you should be uptight and not having a good time. But at church on Sunday, like, there was a person speaking and it was very actually profound, because he said there was a tip that he gave. It was like 7 habits of like highly effective people or something like that. And one of them was like, live life with the end in mind. I feel like that's what we should do anyways. Like, you shouldn't be setting your affections on random things that don't really matter in the long run.
But that's not what society is pushing.
Yeah,
it's doing
exactly.
the complete opposite.
We should ideally be living life with the hopes of, not with the hope, sorry, with the intention of what the kind of life we want at the end. Like, especially when you're an adult. Like, when you're a kid, obviously sometimes you don't have like the emotional range or like the
emotional intelligence,
to make those kinds of decisions. But once you're out of uni as well, a lot of the time, this is the time, because your childhood is over. Sorry to tell you, but it's time to wake. It's time to rise up. It's the decisions that you make from the day you graduate from uni a lot of the time that will determine what you're doing when you're 26 years old.
And I feel like
for real,
what Ashley kind of introduced is very relatable, especially with us young people, because we always find ourselves in a split decision of, well, should I enjoy now and, you know, think about it later, because I'm young. At the same time, I want to save, but I want to have fun.
I'm young.
And can I be honest? I'm the reason why I said split decision, and the reason why I say so relatable, is because I personally relate to that. I'm a very big supporter of enjoying in the moment, having a good time, and again, enjoying and having fun is very subjective on what it means to you. Everyone has, you know, their way of having fun, so my way might be different from yours. But I'm a big supporter and believer and advocate of living in the moment, because, you know, at the end of the day, life is short. You know, we're never going to be this young again. This is our time. We don't, as much as a lot of us can have a lot of responsibilities, but it's only going to get worse with time. If we're going to be completely honest, the responsibilities are going to pile on. Let's be very, very honest. And that's the hard truth.
Worse.
And that's literally the prep talk that I give myself all the time. So when I find myself thinking too much into the future, I try to balance it out by saying,
you have to have a healthy balance.
You have to have a healthy balance. Take time out and enjoy whilst you can, because when that time comes of responsibility, you're going to have to, you know, pick things up, and you don't want to look back. That's another thing I tell my friends all the time. You don't want to look back, because, you know, we can see examples from older people, not necessarily our parents, but the older generation. There's this recent trend on TikTok where a young guy interviews older people and asks them, what are the chances that you wish you took, what are the opportunities. Some of the things that are said are so deep, cutthroat, deep
I've
stuff.
seen that video. They'll say they wish they travelled more when they were
wish
younger,
they travelled
not
more. They wish they, done things that they enjoyed doing. They wish they didn't work as much. Things like that. Again, having fun is very subjective to what you think it is. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is just having a good balance. It can be hard, again, to have a good balance, but it's about checking yourself in the moment. When you feel like you're on the extreme end of either of the spectrum, try to bring yourself back in the center. So we're not saying don't do what makes you happy, because I do believe you should do what makes you happy sometimes, of course, but again, it's about finding a balance and doing things in moderation and asking your future self, looking into your future and asking, like, would I be happy if I make this decision right now for my future self?
Yeah, I like what you're saying, 'cause I feel like the Bible talks about both extremes. So it talks about not thinking, so it says take one day at a time, because can you even add like basically don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own worries.
Right.
So live for today. In that way, live for today, have a good, so it talks about that, and then it talks about what Ashley said as well, a wise man thinks of his future, and it talks about like a man leaving an inheritance for his family.
If anything, isn't that enhancing what I'm saying in terms of finding a balance?
100%. I think what the issue is with the way I see people discussing these type of things is more what makes you happy in the present. Is what is the thing that makes you happy.
That's the extreme end.
Because as much as I agree, I love to have a good time.
Who doesn't?
And everybody loves to smile, laugh, all of those things. But it's like, okay, but are the things that are making you happy now going to be detrimental to the future that you want to have? And a lot of the time, I don't think people think that deeply about it, or they think, oh no, I'll just get my act together once I reach a certain age.
When I get to that
once I do this, then I'll get this. Once
never worked that way.
It's not black and white. It's not when you get there you just automatically change that light switch will be turned off.
It actually reminds me of one of our,
you have to plan.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of one of our past episodes. It was Benga that actually said it. Like, it was the one with Joe, and we were talking about like the habits of like casual sexual relations. And it was talking about how like there's a lot of men that believe now in their I was gonna say something.
I still think
in their specific type of era that they're in now, they think that all of a sudden they're gonna get a girlfriend or they're gonna want to get married,
and those habits,
it's just gonna drop off.
It was so funny. I was having this conversation actually yesterday with one of my friends. Absolutely,
and it's impossible. Like it's just think about what it takes to create a behavior. Behaviors are not created overnight. Like thought processes, perspectives, all of
it's like a habit.
Behaviors are not innate. We're not world views,
perspective, all of behaviors patterns. They're all built over time. So if the things that you're doing now are not gonna benefit you in the future, you have to look at those things. Yes, enjoy yourself, but let the enjoyment be something that's gonna make sense for your future. Enjoyment is traveling. Traveling is never gonna hurt your future. Unless you do it in a way that harms the people in your life,
or it's harming your pockets that you're meant to be using for the future.
Do you know what I mean? We all know the things. We all know things that would harm our futures, and so let's be more intentional about not just casually engaging in things just because in the moment you say do what makes you YOLO.
That YOLO. You see when Drake bought that YOLO, it was different because in that era, we knew we've always known you only live once because we don't have two lives. But that YOLO hit our generation hard. It's like it was a newfound meaning to YOLO, and people took it up a notch.
YOLO.
Because
people took it up a notch because it was like you only live once, YOLO. Like we've been knowing, but now it's like a different meaning to it. Like people go hardcore on things that they don't need to go hardcore on because of YOLO.
Actually, because of YOLO. Yeah, because to me, YOLO and do what makes you happy is synonymous. They're the same thing. You only live once is basically saying, it's not gonna matter tomorrow.
Just do it. Don't give a heck. That's why I'm so happy you said that each person, even as we're sitting here, the people watching, you know what is detrimental to your future. What you might
you want.
Exactly. You might enjoy doing something that I know that's not really something I can engage in because I know what that will do to me or what that will do to my spiritual life or whoever. So be wise.
That's it.
Just use this.
Again, like I said.
Use this and don't be in denial because what I've realised is a lot of people, you're taking paracetamol for other people's headaches. You know what is affecting the next person is not affecting you.
But you still carry on your head.
You know that it's affecting you, but because you see the other person doing it, you're thinking, because they're doing it, me too, I can do it.
Might as well.
That's not how it works.
I think
if you do it, I do it.
I think I even mentioned it
if you die.
I think I said it on this same podcast one time. I think there's a couple seasons back. in every friendship dynamic and friendship group, there's the influencee and there's the influencer. Everybody is a person of influence. There is, unfortunately, there is a person. There's always, people all have a level of influence. So it's not to say that the people that are influencees cannot influence other people, but there are always the people that are more susceptible to what is going on around them and the behaviors of others around them. And if you're here just doing things casually without being introspective and thinking, okay, is this healthy for me? As people are doing
especially when you weren't even raised like that.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Especially you're not
You know
even
better.
in your household. You know damn well that you can't be doing
That's
that.
not what you want.
You know better,
You know
man.
you weren't raised like that. But
You know
because
better.
because people that you met at uni or people are doing it, you're just like, what the heck?
And it's mad because you'll see those same people, the people that were unfortunately the people that were maybe like a bit more peer pressured and whatever. Unfortunately, what tends to happen is the people that you were following, they come out of uni and they're able to kind of get their lives on track because maybe they didn't tell you certain things they were doing in the background. It's you that is struggling. Years and years are they're passing. You're seeing
Sorry.
You're looking around you. You're wondering
That's crazy.
what.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, what is the secret?
You're thinking, oh, but what was
They
it?
did-
We did the same
We
thing.
did it together.
We're doing the same things though back then. Now, how comes they're doing this now? What am I doing?
You don't know.
When did it happen? I didn't know.
For some of you, it was the people in school that told you they never revised. They were lying to your face.
And
They
got
were
the A
revising.
star, and then where was you?
When they were telling you they were up, just watching movies, they were
we were in the
revising.
study base together. We were riding on the chair. We were sliding and doing roly poly on the floor. And
Yeah,
yet,
right.
A star, you have
They
me,
were
I
revising.
didn't pass.
Do you know what my thing is? Like I said before, my thing is genuinely in moderation and finding balance.
Yeah,
Like,
finding
healthy balance.
Life is all
being
about balance, isn't
life
it?
is about balance, like, because everyone knows I'm a very, obviously I'm career driven, I'm a very serious woman, but at the same time I try not to take life too seriously. Like
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? I really try not to take life too seriously. I used to be that girl growing up that was like, yes, my future, this is what I wanted, I had, but I'm so glad I've calmed down now because again, you know what? At the end of the day, we're talking about this future. Tomorrow
We're
is
here.
still not promised.
Yeah,
We don't
for
know.
real.
Facts of
Tomorrow we
life.
could hear the sound of the trumpet. You don't
Hallelujah.
know.
May we all hear
Like,
it in Jesus'
when
name.
he comes, you know. So
And that's it.
And because he's
what a
coming,
way-
guys.
What a way to wrap it up.
He's coming.
He's coming. The king. For the kid.
The king is coming for the kid.
Wow.
No,
But
because
yeah, crazy.
fact.
He's coming.
So as you're doing what's making you happy, remember that he's coming.
He's coming.
Not to scare you, because my God is merciful.
He loves.
He loves.
He loved the kids.
Guys,
He
thank you so much.
really loved the kids.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. I enjoyed this so much. Do you know I learned so much in this? Not them still laughing. I'm trying to wrap up. They're not ready. Okay. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Again, do you know what? I don't know about you guys, but a lot of the episodes that we do, I learned a lot. As I speak, as these girls are speaking to me, I learned so much. So this is a nice way to start my week. I don't know about you, so I'm gonna take the nuggets, take it away.
Cute,
You
babe.
study.
I'm going to implement it into my lifestyle and who I am as a woman, and yeah, I'm going to flourish. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, and we will see you on our
He's
next.
coming back for the kid.
We'll see you on our next episode. Bye.
He's coming for the kids.
Not me wrapping up by myself. Ashley wasn't ready. You know, it was perfect how we ended this, like 33 minutes, like.